You check your balance again. Not because you forgot the number, you already know it. You check it the way you check a wound, hoping it healed since the last time you looked. $1,400. Rent is due in 6 days. You've done everything right. You have a job, you have a savings account, you even have a little folder on your banking app labeled Emergency Fund that hasn't grown in 4 months because every time it starts to grow, something eats it. A car repair, a flight home, a treat yourself Thursday that felt necessary at 9 p.m. after a 10-hour day. This isn't a story about people who can't save money. This is a story about people who can save money and still feel like they're going nowhere. Because saving was never the actual goal. Saving was just the waiting room. And most people spend their entire financial life sitting in that waiting room, never realizing there's a door on the other side of it. Here's the part nobody explains clearly. Saving protects you from the past, from emergencies, from debt, from disaster. Investing is the only thing that builds you a future, and the two require completely different psychology. One is about safety, the other is about risk, which means the very habits that made you a good saver can quietly sabotage you as an investor. Think about the last time your savings account actually felt good. It was probably the moment right after you hit a number, 5,000, 10,000, and for about 11 minutes, you felt like an adult who had it together. Then the feeling faded, because a savings account earning 0.5% interest a year isn't growing. It's decaying quietly while inflation eats it in the dark. $10,000 sitting in a checking account for 10 years, with prices rising around 3% a year, doesn't stay $10,000. In real purchasing power, it shrinks to around $7,400. You didn't lose money on paper, you lost it in silence. Most people never notice this. It gets worse the longer they wait. This is the first psychological trap. Safety feels like progress. Your brain rewards you for the number going up, even when the number going up is an illusion. That relief you feel checking your balance isn't financial progress. It's mental accounting. Your brain treating a static pile of cash as an achievement, instead of asking the only question that actually matters. What is this money doing for me while I sleep? Nothing. That's the answer for most people. It's doing nothing. Now picture two people. Both save $400 a month starting at 25. One keeps it in a savings account. The other invests it in a diversified index fund, averaging a historical 7% annual return. By 55, the saver has roughly $144,000. The investor has close to $480,000. Same discipline, same sacrifice, same $400 a month. A $300,000 gap, created entirely by where the money was allowed to live. That gap isn't about income. It's not about luck. It's about a decision most people never consciously make. The decision to stop protecting money and start putting it to work. So why don't more people cross that line? Because investing requires something saving never asked of you: tolerance for discomfort. When you save, the number only goes up. When you invest, the number goes up, down, sideways, and sometimes drops 8% in a week for reasons that have nothing to do with you. Loss aversion, the well-documented tendency to feel a loss almost twice as intensely as an equivalent gain, makes that dip feel like danger, even when it's just noise on the way to compounding. This is where things quietly change for most people, not with a crash, with a Tuesday afternoon where their portfolio is down 2% and they panic sell into cash and go back to the waiting room, back to safety, back to zero real growth, back to checking a number that never leaves them. Here's a quote worth sitting with. The market doesn't punish people for investing. It punishes people for leaving. So how do you actually cross from saver to investor without your nervous system sabotaging you along the way? Not with more motivation, with a structure your emotions can't override. Step 1 is separating identity from behavior. You are not bad with money. You are a person who has only ever been taught the saving skill set. Nobody sat you down and explained a brokerage account the way they explained a savings account. That's not a character flaw. That's an information gap. Close the gap and the identity shifts on its own. Step 2 is the emergency fund threshold. And this matters more than people think. 3 to 6 months of essential expenses sitting in something boring and liquid, like a high-yield savings account. Not because it grows your wealth, because it protects your investments from your own panic. Without that buffer, one car repair forces you to sell investments at the worst possible moment. With it, market drops become background noise instead of emergencies. Step 3 is the account, not the amount. Open a retirement account or a standard brokerage account before you obsess over how much to put in it. A tax-advantaged retirement account isn't just a place to store money. Contributions can lower your taxable income now, and growth compounds without being taxed every year the way a regular savings account is. The account is the door. Most people spend years deciding what to walk through it with and never open the door at all. Step 4 is automation, and this is the quiet hero of the entire process. The moment investing depends on your motivation, you've already lost, because motivation runs out around the 14th of every month. Automatic transfers remove the decision entirely. You don't decide to invest $200 in October. You decided once in January, and October just happens. Step 5 is the index fund, not the individual stock. This is where ego usually tries to take over. The temptation to pick the next big company, to feel clever, to beat the market. A low-cost, diversified index fund doesn't require you to be right about anything. It just requires you to stay invested, while the economy, on average, continues doing what it has done for a century, growing. Step 6 is time in the market, not timing the market. Waiting for the right moment to invest is one of the most expensive habits in personal finance, because the right moment almost never announces itself. And by the time it feels safe, you've already missed years of compounding. Remember that $300,000 gap from earlier? Here's what most people misunderstand about it. It wasn't created by a decade of decisions. It was created in a single moment. The moment someone either opened the account or didn't. Everything after that was just time doing what time does. This is the part where rich and wealthy stop meaning the same thing. Rich is the number on your paycheck. Wealthy is what that paycheck builds when you stop spending all of it and start feeding some of it forward. You can earn 6 figures and still be one missed paycheck from panic. You can earn considerably less and still build quiet, compounding freedom. Because wealth was never about income. It was about the gap between what you earn and what you deploy. There's a version of